Yes. What's up, everybody? Listen, you know what to do. Hit like and subscribe, and let's get after it. Hi, hello, and welcome to your favorite average to good podcast. Call it what you want. I'm Jimmy Conrad alongside Tony Meola and not Charlie Davies because we don't have time for Charlie Davies. Instead, we're bringing on somebody else. Played for the U.S. men's national team this summer. Just made a move from Germany to England. It's Damion Downs joining the show. Sorry, Charlie Davies. It's all Damion Downs time. So, Damion, great to see you first and foremost. How are you doing?
Appreciate you guys for having me. I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys?
Yeah, listen, we're having you on the show. So listen, we know we're average to good, but we have good to great guests on. So we're excited to have you be a part of it. So let's talk about a crazy summer that you had, because it started with you being a part of FC Cologne, getting them promoted back to the Bundesliga. That must have been a special experience. We can get into that. Then you got called into the senior national team for the U.S. for the Gold Cup. You turned 21 on the Gold Cup final against Mexico. It's all happening. And then you make a big move to England to play for Southampton in the championship. I mean, how are you feeling? Like, where do you start with all this excitement going on in your life?
Yeah, it's been a lot of busy weeks, busy months. But yeah, now settling in Southampton, I'm just trying to navigate everything that happened and trying to see what happened the last few weeks and months.
Damion, let's rewind to the Gold Cup here and that experience, right? Really, your first time in with the U.S. men's national team. I doing this show over the last year and a half. Fans and people that watch the show have been clamoring to see you play. Just talk about what the Gold Cup was like, what it was like working under Mauricio Pochettino and playing in that tournament, which eventually didn't end up going the way you wanted it to, but I think most of us thought was a pretty good tournament for that team.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great experience. We had a great group of guys. Staff was amazing. And yeah, I was just happy to be there and experience my first steps in international football. And yeah, playing under Mauricio was amazing. I think that he just has a great feeling about how to talk with players and kind of understand players and give them the right feeling for the game. So yeah, it was a great experience.
We should say former Southampton manager Mauricio Pochettino. So there's a nice tie-in to your current club. So talk to us a little bit about why you made the move. Obviously, helping FC Cologne get promoted to the Bundesliga, big deal. You could have stayed with the club, but you elected to challenge yourself here with Southampton. What was the decision-making behind that?
Yeah, obviously, I mean, Southampton is a traditional club, first of all, and I think every great player would love to play in England. And obviously that's a goal for me as well. Hopefully being able to get promoted with the team, play in the Premier League next year. I think that's probably the biggest league you can play in. And yeah, that's probably one of the biggest cases for me to make this move.
Yeah, why we've seen so many now forwards over the last couple of years. Josh Sargent's been there for a while. Haji Wright has found some time. Patrick Ajiman, who you played with in the summer, is now coming over to Derby County. Daryl Dike has been at West Brom for a while. Why do you think that the championship is right now for you, the league where you're going to develop? I'm assuming that the goal is, right, not only have success at Southampton, but see your name on that roster in 2026.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's always something you think about, and for me to be able to be an option for that, I think as a striker you just need to score goals, and obviously you don't play more games anywhere than in England, so that's a big chance for me. And yeah, I just seen it work with a lot of other players, and obviously Southampton has a great resume of players that have been here that have just took the next step in their careers here. So that's kind of like what convinced me.
Yeah, and we got to look at their season last year. They scored 26 goals in only 38 games in the Premier League, or I should say only 26 goals in 38 games. So clearly struggling to score goals. What do you think you can bring to the team? And new manager Will Still, who's one of the best young managers in the world, what do you think you can provide to this team outside of goals? What part of your player profile do you think can really help elevate the squad?
Yeah, I think I have a great switch of kind of coming short and getting the ball in my feet, but at the same time always being a threat for runs in behind as well. Just kind of having that switch to bring different sides of the game and give the defensive line different kinds of stuff that they have to worry about. And yeah, at the same time, I can kind of move around on the left side, right side. So I think I'm pretty versatile in my game.
Yeah, I was going to ask you the sort of where the game has to go now. Still 21, right? There's still so much we all know, right? There's still so much to develop. What we saw in the summer is you like to run in behind, right? You play off the shoulders of defenders. You don't mind checking into the space. But what part of your game do you think is sort of the next part that you need to make sure develops in order for you to become the player you want to become?
Yeah, I mean, it's not only one part. I think I'm a young player. I have a lot of stuff that I can develop on, but obviously as a young player, like kind of get used to decision making, doing the right decision, playing easy when you need to play easy, trying to risk something when you're allowed to risk some when the game gives it to you. But at the same time, also like defensive shape, pressing. It's a lot of stuff that I can just work on to kind of like get my game to the next level.
I love it. I there's like an art of, and Tony and I went through it as players as well, where you got to figure out how to kind of get out of your own way and play what the game is giving you. And it sounds like you're already thinking those things. So that's good news. I'm excited for you and your career overall. Now let's bring it back to FC Cologne a little bit, because you blew up last year. You got a lot of minutes. You did a nice job for the club, got 10 goals and 5 assists, and you scored against Bayer Leverkusen, who are excellent, obviously in Germany over the last few years under Xabi Alonso. Which goal stood out for you where you're like, hey, this is me. This is the guy I'm going to be. I'm ready for the more responsibility. I'm ready to step up and be the guy. Was there one goal in particular where we could start to feel the shift?
I think I had a lot goals that kind of like showcase who I am. But the first goal where it really started clicking, I think that was the first goal against Schalke, where I scored with the first time finish. That's kind of like where it clicked, kind of like showcase. I'm ready to be here. I'm ready to showcase what I got.
Do you like as a goalkeeper, right? We always kind of people look at numbers. As a goal scorer, do you put numbers on this thing yet, or is it still too early in your career? Like I would imagine, like Lewandowski says to himself, even though he might not say it publicly, hey, I got to score 25 goals this year, right? Are you at the point where you're looking at yourself and saying, you know what? I'm a double-digit goal scorer every single year, or is it too soon for that for you?
I mean, it's something that I think I could do, but at the same time, I don't want to put pressure on myself and kind of like just go at it the way it is. And I think God has a plan for me and kind of like guides me the whole season and will let me do what I'm supposed to do.
All right. Well, from one JC to the one that you're referencing, I'm hoping that you get double-digit goals this upcoming season.
We are too, by the way. I don't know if you know, we cover the championship here at Paramount, right? And I'm on the coverage every week, so I'm looking forward to seeing you play from match day 1 all the way through the end of the season. This could be fun. I of course I root for all the national team players that play there, but I'm excited to see you in the league.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, and I look forward to hopefully getting Southampton to go right back up. Obviously, you're going to have a great infrastructure. And again, I'm really excited to see how Will Still does as manager. I'm sure you're learning a lot in terms of his style and his philosophy.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, a couple more questions before we let you go. So you made the switch. I mean, you played for the German youth national teams as late as like the end of 2024. What was the decision to say, hey, I want to play for the U.S.? I know that you were born in Germany, but came over to Texas from till you were 9 as a baby, and then you came over here and then moved back to Germany. What was it about the pull of playing for the U.S. that stood out for you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they have a great project. They have a lot of great players in the team right now. And for me, it was always like kind of like 50-50. So I wasn't really moved to one side a bit more. But obviously I think I got a bit more love when I made the decision. And I talked to my managers, talked to my family, and we were all on the same page. So that was a decision I made then.
I got to ask you, quarterfinal, I think it was against Costa Rica, right? You step up,
Yeah.
Or was semifinal? It was quarterfinal. You step up and take the penalty kick. We didn't know much about Damion Downs as a penalty kick taker, but you were as cool as you could possibly be. You buried. It was almost like, are you a penalty kick taker throughout your career? And just that moment for you, because in a lot of ways that was sort of your signature moment in the competition, or one of them.
Yeah, in the youth levels, I always took the pens. I mean, more or less, it's a gift for you as a striker. So I always love to take them. But obviously, when I came into the first team, I wasn't taking the pens because you had the older guys, more experienced guys that took the pens. But yeah, I'm confident in them situation. We trained them at training as well. We had certain training sessions where we just did a lot of pens and kind of like get an idea where we want to shoot it.
All right, so Mauricio says, whatever. What was that? Fifth one, sixth one. Mauricio said, Damion. That's you.
Yeah.
What's the feeling? You just heard your name, like it's you.
Yeah, I mean, in the first moment, I thought I was under the first 5, but at the same time, I don't really mind being the 6th either because obviously I help the team. But yeah, I was happy to take the pen because I was confident in myself that I would score, and luckily it happened.
Yeah, it was great, and we appreciate you. Now, both Tony and I have been a part of Gold Cup rosters in our own careers, and you're around the guys a lot. And so I was kind of wondering, who did you gravitate towards? Did you end up developing some friendships with guys you didn't really know prior to the camp, and now are going to probably remain in contact with?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was the closest with probably Alex Freeman and Pat. So that was kind of like my group. We always did stuff together outside of the hotels and trainings and stuff. But obviously got to. Wait.
Can you reveal what you guys did outside of training? What were you guys doing?
We were just going to malls because obviously we were training every day. We were just dead and just got the necessary stuff we needed for a day-to-day basis.
Who's the guy in that group? If you got to go in a bunker with somebody, you got to battle your way out. Who's the one guy you're taking by your side?
Who am I taking?
Who's the craziest bastard on the team? That's what we're trying to figure out.
One way to put it.
Craziest?
Like Freeman to me looks like Freeman. I don't know him. I've covered him all year. He looks like a kid you don't want to mess with. I don't know, man. He just looks like
he's a great guy though. Like he doesn't act the way he looks.
All right, I love that. What we have tradition here. Call it what you want. Which jersey swaps? So we have our own stories. I don't know if you know who Riquelme is, but back in the day, we played against Argentina, and he told me he's not going to switch with me, which broke my heart, Damion. But so maybe you have a jersey swap of successful, or maybe one where somebody told you, "No, I'm not going to switch with you." What is your best jersey swap in your career?
Till now, it was probably Gregor Kobel after the Swiss game.
Okay, that's a good one.
Nice one.
Yeah. And is that something you like to do? Because we had Tyler Adams on. He's like, I don't really jersey swap. But then he went on to tell us he got N'Golo Kante, which, well, okay, he clearly liked jersey swaps. Is that something you like to do?
Yeah, to now I only did it really with friends I play with the national team or at youth level. So probably something I'm gonna do more when I play a lot of bigger names. But till now I haven't done too much, to be honest.
All right, you got to get Pats.
Who's one you need?
You got to get Pats from Westbrook. You got to get Pats.
I'm gonna get Pats for sure.
Yeah,
Pats for sure.
Nice.
And hopefully I'm gonna play against Freeman one day. I'm gonna get hit as well.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. Well, Damion Downs, thank you so much for your time. We wish you the best of luck with Southampton, and obviously continued success with the U.S. men's national team. And we know you're going to crush it. So good luck this season.
Appreciate you. Thank you guys very much. Have a good one.
All right, Damion Downs, everybody. When we come back, more of the good stuff here on Call What You Want. Do not go anywhere.
See you guys soon.
See ya.
Damion, good.
The clock never stops. Relive the greatest moments with uninterrupted highlights and more.
It's Gareth Bale! Ronaldo! Wonderful goal!
On the UEFA Champions League channel. Streaming free.
All right, welcome back in to Call It What You Want. Very cool to hear from Damion Downs, Big Tones. Your thoughts on the interview?
Great, man. Good. It sounds like a great kid. Just real humble, and it's got a bright future in front of him. Hopefully, this move to Southampton works out. Obviously, we study the 9 position pretty religiously and how these guys are doing. It looks like he's in the right headspace. He had a great summer. I mean, just think about when, we got your first time you get to the national team and what that feels and how that kind of elevates your spirit. And you go to the club team and now you play and you're feeling good about yourself. And We always talk about, players need confidence, and that probably was a confidence boost. Remember, he had a little bit of an injury, right, in the beginning of the competition, so we didn't see a lot of him, and then Ajiman kind of took over that role, and he played his role in it. But Jimmy, no matter what, when you get to those, just the same he's going to go through at Southampton, when you get to those moments, you want like a little more. Like, okay, I played with the national team, and if you're worth your weight in salt, like, you always want a little bit more. I mean, every player goes through it, and I imagine that's what's going through his head right now. Okay, good start. I'm not where I want to be, but I know I can get there. I mean, he said it, one of the answers, I forget what the question was, like, I still have a lot to learn, but I think I can get there, to where he wants to go. So seems like a great kid, man. And we get to cover it here every weekend now, so we're gonna see a lot of him.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how he performs under Will Still in particular, who I think is a top manager. If you remember, he coached Flo Balogun to scoring 20 goals in Liga when they were together in Liga. So I'm curious to see if he can maximize, right? That's ultimately what you're trying to do as a coach, is maximize the potential and talent that you have at your disposal with each individual player. And I like Will Still coming in, and I'm excited to see how Damion performs under him. That's one. The second thing is I did a deeper dive on his team, FC Cologne. I forgot, because it's been a while, everybody. We've had like 18,000 games in between them. But I forgot that FC Cologne fired their manager, Hans Struber, who was at the Red Bulls at one point, 2 games before the end of the season, and their sporting director. I mean, who does that? That came out of nowhere. And they brought in some guy named Fritz, which is awesome, some 70-year-old, and he ended up winning the last 2 games. And he said during that, like, he didn't have to make really any changes. It was all ready to go, and they went and did the business and ended up winning the Meisterschale as the champions of the second Bundesliga to get promoted on the last weekend of the season. But I can understand now, because I think we were wondering, why did he leave? Why did he leave the opportunity to go play in the Bundesliga, to go down to the championship, right? So it makes more sense when you start to understand the instability that seems to be presenting itself at Cologne, who were just coming off a transfer ban recently as well. So, and now going to this project with Will Still, I think it's a really smart move. And even though it might not feel that way, when you start to look at everything else and all the layers that were attached to it, I think he's making the right decision, Big Tone. So
yeah, and you remember during the competition, right? We would always talk about players we want to see, and then we learned Pochettino he's not a big rotator, right? He's not a guy that rotates a bunch of players in between games. And he was one of the guys, Jimmy, I always said, I want to see more of Damion Downs. Like, I need to see more, because honestly, at Cologne, with all the leagues we have to watch and all the leagues we study, like, I didn't see a lot of him. And you're starting to focus on, I don't know how much you saw him. I saw highlights, things that were on the internet. Occasionally I would look at more extended stuff on YouTube and that kind of stuff. You now we're going to get an opportunity to like see him in a league that's the same league as some of the strikers that he's competing with. Right. So there's going to kind of be like a little more apples to apples when we're comparing all of these players. So I'm excited to see him play. I think he has a lot to offer. There's a lot still to his game. Again, he's 21 years old. It doesn't have a massive, CV. CV and professional career behind him. I think it's all in front of him, and I think it's going to be really interesting to watch him develop.
Yeah. So I found the stat that I was looking for with Balogun and Will Still. Balogun scored 22 goals in 39 games for Will Still when they were together in France. And I think he's going to be able to draw out hopefully similar numbers, but at least double digits. I didn't want to put him on blast too much, Big Tones, but at least double digits. Speaking of FC Cologne, we're doing some transfer news here in this segment. Christopher Lund has made the move from Palermo to FC Cologne. So we will have an American presence still on that team. Damion Downs is gone to Southampton, and Christopher Lund comes in. So we'll see how that goes for him. We'll keep tabs on him. All right, some other transfer news. It is now official. Matt Turner has made his move to the New England Revolution and had a press conference. And there's a quote from him, Big Tones, that I want you to get into. And I find it to be pretty revealing and transparent. And I appreciate his honesty here. He said, "My European adventure didn't go perfectly to plan." This is Matt Turner. "But I did learn a lot along the way. I had some misfortunes. I had some opportunities that I didn't make the most of as well. I have zero regrets about my time in England." How do you, when you look at what he did or didn't do, Big Tones, how do you reflect on his time going over to Europe and in England in particular?
I imagine he's saying everything that's on most people's minds, right? It didn't go the way, it wasn't perfect, didn't go the way it was planned. I'm guessing he learned a lot along the way, both on and off the field, right? And that's part of the experience. Now he comes back to the New England Revolution, which is a move. You know, we said for a while, if he can't find a place in Europe to play consistently, if he wants to get done at the World Cup, what we think he wants to get done, and that is get back to being the starting goalkeeper, there's no way, Jimmy, he could have stayed in the situation he was in. And there's no way that he could have gone to another place that would have been another failed move for him. So who knows what the future looks like now? I think it's important for him to play. I guess the concern is between now and the end of the year, how much playing time does he get? I think I looked the other day. I think they have 12 games left. One more game in the I think it's 12 games left. They're not in the League's Cup, right? So we're not seeing them there. So there's not a ton of games to be played. So what does that look like going into September, October, November with regards to the camps? I do think Matt Freese is probably the guy right now for Mauricio Pochettino if he's going to put a team together today. But I've said all along, and I will continue to say, I still think Matt Turner will have a say on that roster and will have a say in who's the starting goalkeeper for the U.S. men's national team moving forward. Now, if Matt Freese is his competition, he's on the same schedule as Matt Freese. Now, who knows? In January, Matt Turner might find a position in Europe and say, okay, this is the move, and things change. Like we see it change all the time. But I think now being in that same moment, it's kind of like what we were talking about with Damion Downs. It's like for like. And I'm sure Matt Turner didn't want to make this move. He tried to move. Well, we know he tried to move, right? And it was a blown move to Lyon. And I almost feel like the guy was snake bitten, because how does that happen where your owner just falls out of favor? You sign a deal, or you agree to a deal with an owner, and before you know it, you're getting sued to break the deal that you agreed to do, right? Like you couldn't have asked for a worse situation for a guy to be in.
Right. No, it's not great. And he's going into a situation with the New England Revolution that isn't great either. They actually have 10 games left, and they've got some tough opponents. They haven't been very good at home. So they got LAFC at home soon, DC United. They got to win those games, right? The ones that they have to win those. Then they go away to Columbus. They're home again against Charlotte, play Chicago Fire twice. Toronto FC, they should win that one. Philadelphia Union, Atlanta United, they should win that one. Anyway, they got 10 games left. They've won once in the league since May 3rd, Big Tones. And that was away to Montreal, who ended up getting their revenge and beating them in Foxborough not too long ago. So I don't know how much Matt Turner is going to help salvage that. It doesn't look like they're going to make the playoffs, and it feels like he just needs to be somewhere. And this is a quote from him: "It feels good to be back where he's loved and welcomed," which I think speaks volumes as to how he'd been feeling and being treated during his time in England, especially there at Bavaria. He's going to come back tougher, right? You go to those environments and it doesn't work out, but he comes back with thicker skin, and ultimately I think that's going to help him become a better player down the line. So there are some silver linings there. I just don't know how he's going to help that New England Revolution team anytime soon. All right, another transfer that we want to get into is Tim Weah. His deal with Marseille is being finalized from Juventus. Apparently, it is a loan with an option, or no, it's mandatory to buy.
An obligation, yeah.
Obligation to buy. So I guess the big question here is, again, he's coming off of Tones. He's coming off the most minutes he's ever played in a professional season. Okay, so last year he played in 2,341 minutes. He had never broken 2,000 minutes before. He had 43 total appearances. He had 9 in the Champions League, 1 in the Club World Cup. He had 30 league appearances, so it felt like he was being used pretty regularly. But the new manager has decided that he's surplus to goods, and now he was supposed to go to Nottingham Forest. That fell through. He didn't want to go, and his agent's like, "This is a joke. We want to go to Marseille." I'm paraphrasing all of this to just cut right through it. But I guess the big question is, do we think, when we look at this from a sporting perspective, do you feel like it's a step down from Tim Weah to go from Juventus to Marseille in Ligue?
Well, remember, Marseille has spent some money over the last 2 years. Like, they want to compete. Who did they just lose? Luis Enrique, right? He went to the Premier League. And you're looking at this and going, this could be a fit. I mean, De Zerbi, the way that he wants to play. Well, first off, I'm interested to see where De Zerbi thinks he's going to play.
Yeah.
Does he think he's going to play as a wing back because he plays in like a 3-4-3? Does he think he's going to play a little bit higher up the field? When he does play with 4, is he a fullback? Is he a winger in that group? So there are a lot of things that he needs to figure out. Luis Enrique went to Inter. He was one of their big signings.
Right.
So maybe, and he plays on that right side like a right winger. So they got Paixão now that came in on the left wing. So it's a team that has spent some money, and over the last couple of years have said that they want to compete at the top of the table and be in Champions League. He's not going to a bad place. He's going to a league where he's familiar with that league, obviously having played there before. So, it's a team that finished in second place. Like he's going to Champions League, and depending on what Roberto De Zerbi and that group told him, because it seems like, Jimmy, and I don't know how you feel about it, but it seems like he's sort of now pushing for this move. Like you said, after a year where he played significant minutes at a club. So there's a couple things that could happen. The messaging he got from Igor Tudor is not the messaging he wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Right. He didn't like the situation he was in last year, where he was every week. We're just trying to figure out where the hell Timothy Weah was going to fit in and where he was going to play. Remember, he started as a forward the first game of the season. Like, they were sold on him the first game of the season. Thiago Motta was. And then he got injured right before halftime, scoring a goal. And then he had to come off the field. So you go through preseason, you win a job, right? And then you get hurt. And those things happen. Just unfortunate for him. And then you come back and you're fighting the entire year as if you didn't do that work before. Or the messaging in Marseille, Jimmy, was just so incredible where he can't say no right now.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. Juve made some permanent signings of guys. Nico Gonzalez, who plays out wide on the right. They can play on the left as well, but mainly on the right for Juve. Francisco Conceição has now made his loan move permanent. So I assume Igor Tudor's like, yeah, we like you, but maybe not enough to be somebody we count on. And this is something we've been, and everybody's been barking about it, like going into a World Cup. It doesn't matter if you're playing for the U.S. or any country. You want to be somebody that a club counts on week in and week out. You want that responsibility, not only because that'll help you be sharp for the World Cup, but also so that your national team coach can be like, hey, I can depend on this guy. And you can see a variety of situations as to where you can fit in and potentially help your national team as well. So it's imperative that our players are playing regularly. And so if he got that type of vote of confidence from Roberto De Zerbi at Marseille, who I really like, right? He did an excellent job at Brighton. He was at Shakhtar Donetsk before that and always got them punching above their weight, especially in European competition. Then I actually think he's a better manager than Tudor at Juve. So I'm hopeful that yes, maybe the leagues aren't the same, but there's still going to be, something that Tim can gain from this experience, especially if he can be trusted to be the number one guy week in and week out. So I am, I'm excited to see how this all kind of plays out, but I hope he doesn't go there and it's just a role player. You're just like, shit, I feel like we've got a couple guys in those situations, and I'm hopeful that they can break out of it this season.
Do you feel like, again, I'll ask you, do you feel like this move is like being pushed like by him and his camp? Like, I feel like this is more Timothy Weah talking about he wants to move and all of this stuff, and the rumors are that he's interested in moving. He's basically spoken to the club about moving. I feel like it's coming more from him, which leads me to believe I'm just that he's just not happy with what's happening at Juve. Right, it's a massive club, but I still go back to it's a club where he had really good success last year and was on a great pathway until the initial injury, albeit with a different manager at the time. But it still looked like he was finally settling into a club. Remember, he won a Coppa Italia the year before, with Weston McKennie. He came on as a sub in that game, I think, in the final against Atalanta. So he's got a nice little history at the club. It just seems like he just wants out at Juve, and this seems a perfect spot for him.
Yeah, not only did Marseille finish second to the unstoppable PSG in Ligue 1 last year, but they're also the second highest scoring team So they're clearly creating a lot of opportunities, 74 goals in 34 games. And I'm hopeful he can be on the end of some of those goals in this upcoming season. So yes, all that is getting finalized. I'm excited about this for him, especially, and I guess this kind of goes for Damion Downs, our guest earlier in the show, Tones, is I want those guys to be excited about the move as well, right? It can't just be, well, an agent pushing or making decisions. So if there's some good energy there and he's getting that energy reciprocated by the manager and by the guys, then yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic this is all going to work out and everybody's going to score double-digit goals this upcoming European season. So we're flying at the World Cup next summer. Is that too much to ask for? I don't know. Okay, one other transfer that we need to talk about because this is a big one. The biggest signing, I believe, in MLS history. Heung-min's son is reportedly coming to LAFC and MLS for around $30 million. The 33-year-old South Korean international making the move to play with his former teammate Hugo Lloris at Tottenham in goal. And I think he's a nice fit for Steve Cherundolo at LAFC. Obviously a counter-attacking team. He's one of the best at that, Heung-min's son, over many years. He's 2-footed. He can go on either side. I think he'd be a nice compliment to Denny Bouanga on the other side of the field and makes, for me, LAFC that much more dangerous. And I don't know a team that you want to face per se. I like the move overall. Does $30 million seem like too much for you? I know that Atlanta played, $22 million for Latte Lath. And when you kind of compare it to that, it's a no-brainer to pay $30 million for Heung-min's son. I'm just saying from an age, he's 33. You're going to get that money back in jersey sales probably. But, yeah, what are your thoughts on this move overall, Tones?
I think it's an incredible move. The number I'd heard was more. It was a little closer to 25 million, but it gave me 25 to 30 million. We were chatting just yesterday about again, this move has to happen. So we're talking like it's happening already. Have we seen two more global superstars in our league and I'm talking about Messi, obviously, and then the allure of Son and the market in Asia and what he's done on the world stage. The only ones we could come up with were David Beckham at the time with Thierry Henry. The difference was that those two guys weren't with their national team at the time, right? They didn't have a World Cup coming, and you're going to have Messi and Son that could be in a World Cup in a year's or less than a year, of course, time. So we're in a moment here where players like this, and of course our league, oddly enough, has to compete with the Saudi Pro League, right? Of all the leagues in the world, when you got players like this that are leaving, the names seem to be linked all the time. But what a massive move this would be. First, I think the off-the-field stuff speaks for itself, right? He's going to sell jerseys. He's a lovable guy. We have the Tottenham documentary that we've watched. I mean, he's got some piss and vinegar in him when he wants it. Like he's does.
A leader too. Yeah.
And he's a leader, right? And he ended up finally winning a trophy at Tottenham before he leaves. I don't know if you saw I'm sure you did. I'm just talking to the viewers. The videos of his last game, right? Was that yesterday or the day before? I can't even remember anymore. Right. But Jimmy, it doesn't always end like that unless you're really, really well respected, right? Oftentimes you leave a club because the club doesn't want you. You wanted to leave, and you just kind of go out the door, and all of a sudden, your life changes. I mean, it looked pretty heartfelt from his teammates, right? And he seemed a loved guy. Now, on the field, I think he fits in perfectly with what Steve Cherundolo has done with this team. Cherundolo tried to make this a possession team for the last year and a half, right? He tried to, and so he told us on phone calls it was going to be more possession-based. But you go watch highlights, everything is about the counterattack. I think he'll fit in great with Denny Bouanga. He'll play centrally, I would imagine. Bouanga will play on the left-hand side, but on the counterattack with those two guys running at you, because Olivier Giroud didn't fit that mold. We saw it, and that's why he's gone. They're going to be really, really scary.
Well, off the field stuff too, we should add that there's a part of Los Angeles that has Koreatown, which is the highest concentration of Koreans in the United States outside of Korea itself. So I definitely think he's going to sell some jerseys and obviously mobilize that fan base to buy
incredible, man.
It's gonna be incredible. I'm really excited about it, and I think he has a lot more to give. And I know that maybe the last year wasn't peak for him on the field, but maybe with a new challenge and a fresh start and a new adventure, he can regain that form, which we know. I mean, he's a special player, and so two-footed. I think one of the best two-footed players probably in Premier League history. I'm sure there's a bunch, and maybe I'll get some heat for that comment, but always been a big fan of him and how he conducts himself too. And I think he'll be a nice role model for the league and for that club in particular. So nice move there. Still reportedly, also, I said 30 million, it's 26 million. I was trying to do I thought 26 million in pounds. So I just assumed I just said 30 because I thought that's what it was going to translate to in dollars. Excuse me for that. And it's all reportedly, but it's hopefully close to being finalized. And that would be a big move for MLS overall. Well, speaking of big names in MLS, there's a funny quote that we need to reference, Big Tones. This one was from Bernardeschi, Federico Bernardeschi. He got asked about MLS versus Serie A. He's now made the move to Bologna, going back to Italy from Toronto FC. They bought out his contract there. And he said this, in physical terms, there's no gap between MLS and Serie A, but undoubtedly there is on a technical and tactical level. MLS with Serie A is like comparing the Euroliga basketball competition to the NBA. So I feel like there's a grain of salt. I'm not saying that he's I just feel like he got let go ultimately, right? It didn't end well. His time in Toronto wasn't great. And we could argue he wasn't, and rightfully argue that he wasn't surrounded by a supporting cast that probably lent to him having more success. But that said, what are your thoughts on this quote?
Yeah, well, I don't know much about the EuroLeague, the basketball league, so it's hard for me to compare, but I think I get an idea of what he's saying. Yeah, look, at least on the teams that he played on, were not very good teams, but part of that was because him and Insigne made a little bit of a mess of it in the end. That's the reality that we've learned, right? But yeah, look, that's his opinion. And who am I to tell him what his opinion is? I don't have the comparison of the EuroLeague, so that part I can't really speak to. But I think I think we understand what he's getting at here. And you know, hopefully at a minimum he's got some bright things to say outside of that the physical part of it is still good, which I still don't think we give our own league enough credit for. Like, players come over here and talk about the physical part all the time, and we think of other leagues as being really super physical, and a lot of that has to do, Jimmy, you're playing on 3 different services and 3 different, in 3 different time zones and in 2 different countries. Like, the travel is, so there's a lot of that goes into all of the discussion. But in the end, if you want to sum up Bernardeschi's career, and I don't want to put them both in a box, but they both came basically at the same time and left at the same time, it was not good. There was a bigger expectation of what it would look like, and it didn't live up to the expectation.
Hey, all I'll say is that Luka Doncic, I'm a Lakers guy. So I'll take all the hate that you want for being a Lakers guy, but I grew up in LA in the 80s. So listen, shout out to Magic Johnson and the guys. Showtime, baby. But Luka Doncic played in the EuroLeague. So all right. Yeah, EuroLeague, I think got some quality.
So I'm being told that the EuroLeague is a good standard.
It's a good standard.
I'm guessing it's the second. Is it the second best league in the world, the EuroLeague?
Yes, maybe we shouldn't take that as a diss for Bernardeschi.
Well, maybe it's getting better the more I learned about the EuroLeague.
Yeah. So Luka Doncic actually was the EuroLeague MVP in 2018 when he played for Real Madrid, Hala Madrid. On that, one last thing that he added, Bernardeschi, is that he loved being in Canada. It was a lovely experience, but when I got back home at the end of the day, referencing coming back to Italy, I was missing something. I feed on adrenaline and like a bit of pressure every day. I missed it, which I think is the one kind of thing.
Yeah, we hear that a lot, right?
We do hear that a lot. That the day-to-day pressure of having to perform at a high level doesn't necessarily exist here consistently or in all markets in MLS.
But it's not,
I think that'll change.
It's not us that has to hear it. It's not.
Us
that has to hear it, right? It's got to be some other people that need to hear it in order for it to change.
That's true, but it's funny. Once you start to give criticism to certain coaches or clubs, man, they get defensive. But that's what you have to do to become a pro. That every day you got to be held to a certain standard. That's part of it, right? And that's what we're trying to create in environments. Yes, obviously we'd want it to be more constructive criticism, and that doesn't necessarily happen here because we have the age of the internet. But Anyway, that's a conversation for a bigger time. We're going to take our last break and call what you want. When we come back, we have a very special guest joining us from Vermont Green, who won their first ever USL League 2 championship. We want to learn how they did it and what makes that club special. So don't go anywhere.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
All right, welcome back in to Call It What You Want. I'm Conrad Dino alongside Big Tones and not Chuck Wagon, Charlie Davies. Tones, I don't actually know where Charlie is. I know we strategically bumped him out of the first segment so we could get Damion Downs on. But I'm actually
by that. He got offended. He stayed out.
I'm like the shrug emoji right now. I actually don't know where Charlie Davies is. I assume he's on one of his many jets or yachts, around the world with doing Charlie Davies things as he does. So we hope he's having a good time because he's gonna have to miss out on another special guest. We're gonna bring in Patrick Inferna from Vermont Green, co-founder and one of the brains behind this club in Burlington, Vermont, who are fresh off of winning their first ever USL League 2 championship and kind of what that means for the future. So let's bring on Patrick Inferna. Patrick, great to see you as always. A fun fact, me and Pat crossed paths back in the day. It was kind of like a Kick TV Copa 90 because it's like the merger acquisition of those times. And so we crossed over for a little while, but he's gone on to do some great things with Vermont Green. Pat, first and foremost, great to see you. How are you living right now?
It's just so good right now, Jimmy. It's great to see you again, Tony. I don't believe we've met, but it's
my pleasure, man.
Yeah,
my
it's awesome
pleasure.
I told some people down. We're actually at the stadium right now, and we're kind of breaking down our end of season stuff. Told some people I was going to be on a podcast with you too, and there was a lot of excitement. I had to kind of sneak away. So.
They all went to lunch, Jimmy. They all went to lunch after. Look, you see Patrick by himself right now in the office.
I love that. So Pat, before we get into let's reverse engineer it. Obviously, fresh off of winning this USL League 2 championship, how did this whole thing begin, and why in Vermont?
Yeah, so I mean, this story, it's pretty wild going back now. Like I grew up in Vermont. I've as you know, I've been working in soccer for a while now, basically since I got out of college, and I always sort of like dreamed of, borderline joked about like it would feel awesome to have like professional, semi-professional soccer, like a real soccer culture in Vermont, because I believed that this was a place that was hungry for it. So back in 2020, 21, like Matthew Wolf, Sam Glickman, and I and some other co-founders, we basically kind of just put this idea together of how do we start a team in this place in Burlington, Vermont, where I grew up, and how do we have it so it's how do we attach something that's a bit more than just like let's play some football and try to win some championships? How do we put the community first? How do we bring this kind of environmental justice mission alongside of it? And yeah, I mean, it all kicked off in 2022, and it's been a journey ever since. And here we are, and this has been just a wild ride.
Yeah, first off, Patrick, congrats on the win. I know we'll get to that here. USL 2 champions. I saw you guys have it prominent on your website. I'm sure that was good to post. But when you start thinking about these ideas, sometimes you go around the town, you go around the city, or you bring like study groups in together, and they tell you, no, Patrick, man, you're crazy. Like you're never like any stories like that when you first get there, like, hey, Patrick, no one makes money in soccer. Like, stay away from this thing. Like, where were they in the beginning when you started to spread the word about this?
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, it was like in Vermont, I think people are really open to the idea of something that's community driven. It's just kind of the culture here for the farmers markets, the town meeting day culture. I think people saw it and said, like, that sounds fun. But I don't think, and even us, even as someone who I saw like this place that's my home, and I really believed we could do something special here, I don't think I could have ever imagined like the scenes that we had here on Saturday night. It was 2,500 people in the stands, at least another 2,500 outside of the stands, unticketed, just surrounding the areas, climbing up onto like whatever was available. And it's what it's turned into, I think, was even beyond our wildest dreams. And it's really a testament to, I think, who Vermonters are. And I think from the start, they had faith in the idea and faith in the club, and really just have our success has to be tied to the support we've been given, because it's really phenomenal. I think there's nothing like it in U.S. soccer right now.
Yeah, which is why we wanted to bring you on the show to get into it and talk about it a little bit, and to give you guys some shine and give you your flowers, of course, for all the success. Now, let's talk about one player in particular. His name's Max Kissel. For those that don't know, he scored the winning goal to win the NCAA championship for the University of Vermont, and then scored the game winner in the 91st minute to help Vermont Green beat Ballard FC in the final of the USL League 2. And so I assume he's getting a statue in Burlington. Like, how does that work? When you score,
it's not already done.
Yeah.
There already.
When is the unveiling of the statue, Patrick?
Yeah, I mean, it's really. He deserved a statue months ago from the UVM. That was and it's been wow, what a once in a lifetime thing. This is incredible for him to do it again, to be in that position and to execute. I mean, Max Kissel is a player that is I'm convinced he's in the top 10 most influential Vermonters of all time. Not just sports people. To do this for this state twice, and yeah, and he's just such a humble kid, and he always says I'm just doing my job. He's one of those strikers, He's I just went to do my job, and I took my moment and I had it. And yeah, it's just he's given 2 lifetimes of joy in less than 12 months. So I cannot speak highly enough about him, and I'm so excited to see what he does with UVM this fall, and his future has to be just so bright.
Talk about the community there, right? Obviously, they got behind you. I get the sense that, look, the other night was massive, right? You said almost, you're thinking around 5,000 people were there to watch this game in Vermont. And 20 years ago, that would have been, the thought of that would have been hey, Patrick, man, you're crazy. Don't think it can happen, But now we're seeing it happen. But it seems to me that even without the winning, there's still support for the team. Right. Of course, winning always helps. But it seems like you guys have built something that, you mentioned, it is community driven. They love it. They feel like it's theirs.
Yeah, it's always been the model. It's always been the type of club we want it to be, because I think it's again, as you said, winning is incredibly important. But we were selling out games before we ever won a division. We had this buy-in from the people here, and again, I think it's a testament to just the greater idea that we wanted to build something that was obviously about football, obviously wants to win, but it was meant to be something that you could attach your identity to outside of the 90 minutes. And I think that's what the community here has done in such a major way. And they've brought themselves into the mix in independent ways. They're doing their own sort of community initiatives, their own activism. They're supporting the team in ways that are unattached to our match day events. So, and I think this is the type of culture that you see around the country, around the globe, that the best sort of fan cultures, the best sort of scenes, they have that element of people that are taking the club's identity and bringing it into every aspect of their lives. And that's what we've seen in Vermont in a way that it's so humbling for us as, the founders and stuff, because it's just it's taken on a life of its own, and it's just so inspiring. And again, to win and to be able to win here, and to just be able to physically give the fans the trophy and reward them for everything they've given us. It was just so emotional. It's so cool.
Yeah, and it validates all the hard work and the ideas and the creativity and the dreaming that you had, and for everybody else that's joining. So it's very cool that the trophy kind of is just the cherry on top for everything that you built. Now, you talked about top. All right. Wow. Easy flexing on us.
Yeah.
We absolutely love it. I helped coach the USL League 2 of the San Francisco Glens for 2 seasons. We lost to Ballard FC, so I'm glad you stuck it to them in the final. I should have started there, Pat. But you talked about Max Kissel being a top 10 Vermonter. You had maybe arguably the most famous Vermonter of all time, Bernie Sanders, who's come to a game before. And what I love is that the fans have called the stadium the Bernie-beu, in reference to Real Madrid's Santiago Bernabeu Stadium, which is amazing. What's it like having cool. Bernie Sanders be a part?
You know about this?
Yeah.
Did you know?
What's that?
Did you know that this was coming?
The Tifo, no. The supporter is completely independent. I love that. We had heard about it. I think it came from someone's Instagram comment after. So the story with Bernie, and of course he's our representative. So he's been supporting us for a long time, and it's been really, we're so grateful to have him sort of really giving us his backing. But he came to a game in the playoffs. I think it was our second game in the playoffs against FC Motown. And he spoke at halftime when we were down a goal. We eventually were going to be down 2 goals. And he said, like, straight up when he was addressing the crowd, he was like, thank you, Vermont Green, who've been undefeated. And in the next 45 minutes, they're going to remain undefeated. And like, that was like kind of one of those moments that was like, that was like Bernie called the shot. And then he's been such a supporter of this club. Again, from a football perspective, but he sees the bigger picture of what we're trying to achieve in the community, and having his support for where we're trying to go is going to be really important. So yeah, it's so cool. He's a Vermont icon, and to have his support is incredible.
So I want to jump in, Tones, really quick. You say, like, what's next? Because for those that maybe don't know, the USL League 2 season always feels like a bit of an extension of the college season. So you get a lot of college athletes that are being a part of it. And really the season goes from the beginning of May, correct me if I'm wrong, Pat, beginning of May to if you make a good run in the playoffs, then you're going all the way to basically the end of July. So it's not a very long season overall. So we could argue Vermont Green, though I think you do a better job than maybe most clubs, but it's hard to stay topical when your season's only a couple months long. So how do you extend that conversation? That's one. And then what is the future for Vermont Green? Is there a desire and a thirst to, now that you've conquered USL League 2, to go up to USL League 1, which then becomes professional and maybe changes the way that you're doing business? Yeah. So this is as you would imagine, this is the biggest question on the ground here in Vermont, and from kind of everyone. And the honest answer is that, like, Vermont Green FC is a small business. Like, we're like run by a handful of guys and awesome staff and our interns, and like, so we're sort of at this position where we've won the league, we've got all this great support, we've got incredible sponsorships, and we're in a great position right now. And so, but the honest answer is, because we've been so focused on USL2 and winning this, like we're just beginning the conversations about, like, what is actually next. And there's a lot of elements that go into that. And the biggest one for us is the enthusiasm around soccer in Vermont has shown us that there's actually quite a glaring lack of infrastructure. Virtue Field is an awesome place. We love playing here, but the 2,500 seats clearly are not enough. But not just that, like, there's not enough turfs in Vermont for all of the youth that are playing soccer, for all the youth clubs, for all the rec leagues, all the adult leagues. Like, it's we really have likened it to this, like, sudden, incredible soccer revolution that's happening in Vermont. And when you have all this enthusiasm, you realize, like, what you need, and we're behind on a lot of things. So as we look to the future and consider what maybe USL League 1, or who knows, like, we always say this thing is ceilingless. Why don't we look at USL Championship? Who knows? Probably not right away. But the point is, we need to sort of look at the ground floor and build physically and sort of, like, spiritually build a lot more before we can decide, like, what that next step is. But for us, it's a constant labor of love, and we're so committed to figuring out what's next. But we're going to do it in real time. We're going to do it with the community in mind and with the community in the room with us. So I don't have a fun answer yet for what's next, but the answer is that we're not going anywhere, and we're going to keep building this thing.
Yeah, that's the real answer, though, right? That's the answer that gets you to the next step, not the one you're that's a sort of a pipe dream, if you will. Talk about the mission statement for you guys and sort of what you're doing in sort of on the social side with the environmental justice, because I know right from the start that's been a massive priority for you guys.
Yeah, the mission for this club is the North Star. I mean, everything we're trying to achieve comes with that in mind. And for us, it's actually, I think sometimes people, they look at it in the big picture and they want to, like, sort of get down to, like, the biggest like details of it. But the reality is, for us, it is this idea that while we're building something that has this many eyes on it and this much of a platform, it's our responsibility to use this time together supporting this club to be an avenue for thinking about things that are important to our community, again, outside of these 90 minutes. Vermonters are well known for being socially conscious, being very concerned with the environment, concerned with the well-being of their neighbors, and we just don't think that's something that needs to be checked at the door when you go to a football match or a sports event of any kind. And in fact, the enthusiasm that you get from loving the game of soccer is an excellent medium to channel into something else. So, for example, we have our fans, they just raised $25,000 for migrant justice and the immigrant legal defense fund here in Vermont, like doing critical work on behalf of our neighbors. So for us, it's just that it's the idea that getting people together is a really sort of revolutionary thing in its own right. And to be together with your neighbors, to think about something bigger than just, the things that's right in front of you. That's what the club is always going to want to be about. And we're going to always be, keep that in mind as we grow. And again, I think a big part of winning USL League 2 and having the success on the field is a testament and a proof of concept that a values-driven organization can be successful and will be successful. And we actually liken our success to the idea that we're leading with our values. So it's an important part of our club. It's the most important part of our club, to be honest. And it's been great.
Yeah, vehicle for a positive change in the world. So we love to see it, and we appreciate what you and Matthew and Sam and all the other co-founders and everybody that's working there are doing, including the players, right? They're the ones that kind of bring everything to life and obviously win trophies. Shout out to Max Kissel once again. Here's the big question, though, before we let you go, Pat. Do you think Vermont Green FC, this is a real one, this is super serious, as you know to me, to be very serious. Vermont Green FC, do you think they could beat the New England Revolution right now? That's the big question.
Definitely.
I love it. Yes, definitely. I love it. Max Kissel scoring the winner in the 90th minute.
I think, and I have my sporting director, Adam Pfeiffer, who's here, who wanted to thank you for Nathan Simeon, our right back.
Oh, yeah. Final. Sim played for me at USL League 2 with the Glens, and he's a beast. Yeah,
such a player. But no, to answer your question, I put us up against anybody at this exact moment. It's funny to say, as all these guys are literally gone, they left the next morning after the championship to go back to their college programs. A very funny aspect of USL 2. But if we could get them back, we'll take on anybody.
Yeah, I mean, confidence is a hell of a drug, right? And momentum. Patrick Inferno, everybody. Vermont Green FC, done. Congratulations. Continued success both on and off the field. We hope to come to a game soon. We'd love to see what that looks like in person. And, of course, we know the future is very bright, so we're excited for you. And thank you to everybody else for listening and watching. To call it what you want. We'll come back and see you very, very soon as we do. So keep it here on the Golazo America YouTube channel. And, that was an awesome show. Thank you, Patrick, for your time. Tones, always a pleasure. And we'll see you guys soon. Later.
Thanks so much.